This is Rob Tebbutt for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined once again by Shelly Finkel. We're here at the MGM Grand the day before Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, the heavyweight rematch for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. Now we've done all of that. Shelly, how are you? Nice to see you again.
I'm good. Just counting down the time till it is. We've been, waiting a long time for this.
Been waiting a long time for this, but Fight Week itself has been something, as it always is when these two lock horns together. Talk to us a little bit about Fight Week. It felt like a really, really big fight, particularly these last 48 hours.
Oh, it is a big fight. Fox and ESPN pulled out stops everywhere you go. And I've heard, from my wife and other people, that the common man who's not a sports fan says, oh, you got to see this fight. That's all we're talking about.
Talk to me about that. ESPN and Fox coming together for this fight. It's few and far between, fair to say, in boxing that something like that happens. Just what difference does it make having two huge entities like Fox and ESPN coming together to make such a big fight?
It's a lot more publicity than you would get if it was just one. Look, they ran, meaning Fox, ran some spots on the Super Bowl. 100 million people saw them. So even if you didn't really know what it was, it caught your attention. What is this? What is this? And it's been banged home a lot since.
What is it about Wilder and Fury 2 that has become such a big fight? Is it the story from the first fight? Is it their two characters? Is it a bit of both?
The first fight, the puncher versus the fighter. Fury has become a little bit of a spectacle. He's done the WWE. He's a real... I like him, but he is a real character, and he knows how to promote.
Obviously, coming after the first fight, we were expecting, some people were expecting an immediate rematch. Didn't quite happen that way. We've seen both fighters have two fights in between. Who would you say has got the momentum coming into this fight?
I know who does, and that's Deontay. I was praying they didn't stop the fight on that cut that night. I said, no, we waited this long, and you pick the guy, and then you get hit with the left hook, and it opens you. Oh, my God. But I think the level of the two opponents show, compared to the two that Fury picked. Fury, even with that pick, had a tough time. Even with the cut, he didn't take the guy out. He didn't ever seem to have him in real trouble. He won convincingly, but he didn't hurt the guy. And I have a theory. I think that 270, he's 73, he's going to try to come at him, and I think that's going to play right into Deontay. Let's
talk about that. One or two eyebrows raised today. I mean, it's one thing hearing that you're going to come in at 270. It's quite another actually coming in at 270 or 273, as you just said there. Did it surprise you? Obviously, we'd had all of the talk in the week, but Tyson Fury has been known to say some things and not necessarily follow through.
Yeah, but he's a big man. He was heavy before this. He looked bigger. I think he's trained. I don't think it's just fat, but I think it's not going to help.
We also saw Deontay come in significantly heavier than he was in the first fight. What are the reasoning behind that?
He was too light the first time. He didn't train some time because his arm was bad. The week of the fight, he wasn't eating the way he would have liked. He, after we saw Fury in Ireland, in his mind, he said, this is going to be easy. I could just throw an overhand and knock him out. Didn't work. After the fight, he says, I was just looking for the knockout. I can't do that again. Went back to the drawing board, and I think you're going to see the very special Deontay.
You mentioned those two fights that Deontay had, obviously a crushing first-round knockout against Dominic Breazeale and then the repeat win over Luis Ortiz. In those two fights, did we see him learning from the mistakes he potentially made in that first Tyson Fury fight?
I think overall he did. I think that people underestimate his strategic thinking. If anyone has ever boxed, it's not an accident that you land a punch on everyone. And of the 44 fights he's had, 43, I think, two men went the distance, but both of them hit the canvas. So every fight he's had, the guy was either knocked out or been on the canvas. And Fury could say what he wants. When he gets hit again, and he will get hit, it'll come back to him what happened.
I spoke to Frank Warren the other day on the back of speaking to Eddie Hearn a couple of weeks ago. I put it to Frank that Eddie had told me that he felt that Ruiz Joshua 2 was a commercially bigger fight than this fight. Frank disagreed, unsurprisingly. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, look, it was in Saudi Arabia, so it did very big in the UK because the time zones were the same. If this fight were the same time zone, it would probably do equal. That fight did nothing in the United States like this. It's irrelevant, okay? At the end of the night, if Deontay's hand is raised the way I think it will, by the style that I think it's going to happen, let everyone judge who's the number one. And you know what? I don't even think Joshua ever wants Deontay. I said it to Lennox yesterday, I was with him. When he got knocked out by Rockman, he didn't come dancing the next fight. He went to take back his title. Here's a guy who went against someone who was 20, 30 pounds overweight, couldn't move. And what did you do? You moved, you pity-pat, you moved, you pity-pat. Even when you thought you could get him, you didn't take a chance. That's not, to me, a great performance. That's a winning, but not a great. And if you want greatness, then you got to rise to it.
We spoke in the immediate aftermath of the first Joshua Ruiz fight in New York. I think you said to me at the time something akin to the words, I don't have the exact quote off my head, that Joshua wouldn't be the same fighter going forward. Is that what we saw in Saudi Arabia?
I believe he changed totally for that. And Ruiz is good. I'm not going to knock him. He's not great. And they were saying things. I said, look, if you're going to be a star, you got to act like a star. I would hate to see Tom Brady come in 30 pounds overweight, or Michael Jordan, or anyone who's a star at the top of their game. Here's a man who just won the heavyweight championship. He's having a rematch. If he were to repeat, I don't think he would have. I think Joshua would have won anyway. But if he were to repeat, his life is made, his family is made. It's a poor family. What are you thinking? How do you think that people are going to look at you right after, I want a rematch? Too late. Put in the time on the road so you'll be ready for the fight.
Just going back to something you said a couple of minutes ago, if Deontay wins the fight in the type of fashion that you expect him to win the fight, let other people decide who the number one heavyweight in the world is. If Deontay Wilder goes out and scores an early, brutal knockout and takes Fury out, really, will there be a third fight? Is there a need for a third fight?
Well, there is a contract. The loser has the right within 30 days to say he wants the rematch. If he doesn't, then it's over. If he does, we're obligated to do it.
Would that return to Las Vegas? Obviously, we've seen a lot of...
I don't even know yet. It's a little bit too far ahead.
Where was we spoke, it seems like forever ago now, in Belfast when you came over for the Francisco Pianeta fight. You told me that you felt that there would be two heavyweights in history that would have given Deontay a tough fight. One of them was Sonny Liston, and the other one was George Foreman. Do you still stick to those?
I'm not as sure on those, probably because they could punch. But Ali would have been hard to beat. Ali can really move. He could get in your head if you don't hurt him. The more I think Sonny may have been too small for him. Foreman was big, so, I always believe Foreman in his prime and Tyson in his prime, Foreman would have had a good shot at beating him.
It seemed like it went on forever. The kind of back and forth, the very public back and forth between Team Joshua, Team Wilder, ahead of that Joshua Ruiz fight, and then all of the marbles changed, as it were. Eddie Hearn said in the last couple of weeks that he would be interested in making an offer in between the second and third fight. Would you have any interest in entertaining such an offer?
If we're supposed to fight Fury, I don't want, and at the time, if the fight's going to happen, he's not going to make an offer. We won't accept anything from him. If he wants to sit down at the time, we'll see if a fight can be made. The fact is, Joshua does not want Deontay. He could say whatever he wants. He said, before the Brazil fight, it took me 7 rounds to beat Brazil. He's a tough guy. If Deontay, it takes 8 rounds, we'll see who's the better. When he demolished him in 1 round, Joshua said, after the fight with Ruiz, he said, I couldn't get it out of my head that he knocked him out in 1 round. He said, it really messed me up. And the reporter who was covering says, I guess Deontay beat you without ever hitting you. And if he does to Fury what I think he's going to do, I just don't see him ever getting in the ring. And the only way his name is relevant today is because Eddie keeps talking. Because no one cares. We're interested in the fight tomorrow. That's why you're here. And that's what everyone should be focused on.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, where would you rank this with, you've been involved in such huge fights with such huge fighters, where does this stand among the fights that you've been involved with?
It's a giant fight. It's big. It's captured the imagination of the public. And it's different because every time things are different. It's coming at a time when boxing is a little bit on the ropes. And now you're getting people to start talking about it. And if it were to go the wrong way in an ugly decision, that won't be good. If there's a spectacular knockout, that'll be exciting for the sport.
Now, of course, I'm getting ready to speak to Deontay, so I will ask him about this when I do speak to him. A short interview with Deontay. Thanks for reminding me. The first fight, a lot of people, pundits, media, consider Tyson Fury to be unfortunate to just get the draw in the first fight. Does Deontay want to erase any doubt with a knockout, considering that people were questioning whether or not he deserved the draw in the first fight?
You know, it's funny. I don't want to mention name, but one of your British reporters said, you know, I thought that Fury won. I said, that's okay. I thought Deontay knocked him out. And there's a dispute on that. And Fury himself said, I didn't know I got up. He said, I didn't know that I was knocked down. He was out, but he instinctually got up. Everyone said, it's a good thing they let him continue to fight. If Deontay had hit him a solid shot again and hurt him, everyone said, it shouldn't have continued. That's the beauty and the drama of the sport.
A couple of quick things I'd just like to skate through. We are 10 o'clock on the eve before the fight. Dillian Whyte has had a numerous amount of things to say over the last year, 18 months. I know you would have heard them. What are your thoughts on his comments, really, about Deontay and the WBC?
Well, first of all, who cares? Second, if he walked in here today, I might not recognize him. I know no one else would. The only way he's going to have any presence is either call Joshua out or us. I don't think he deserves it. I think that, forget the drug testing and that was one problem. He's had problems with it before. And there was a dispute about the gloves. We'll put all of that in. His performances have not been spectacular. He, with Parker, he almost got knocked out in the 12th round. Chisora, he had a good win, but it wasn't an easy win. The Revis fight, you know, he has not had, to me, a championship screaming fight that he can say, look at what I did to so-and-so. He can yell, he could do whatever he wants. Get the wins and look good and stop the controversies, and then you could talk.
Mauricio said that he would call the mandatory February 2021. All being well, Deontay still has the belt. You'd be interested in entertaining that fight?
It's a year away. I'm interested tomorrow. Come on.
Fair enough. Final question, Shelly. I do appreciate your time. Lou DiBELLA was out in Miami recently. He had some very interesting things to say regarding a meeting that was set up for Deontay and DAZN.
No comment on it. No comment on it at all. Lou knows what happened.
Okay, I respect that. Mr. Finkel, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Always a pleasure. Do appreciate your time in a very, very busy fight week, and I'm very, very much looking forward to the fight tomorrow night. Always a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Rob.